Okay, back on Get Up. Will Ohio State play their last two regular season games? That is a big question. They're right now 4-0. They need to play 6 games to qualify for the Big Ten championship. They've missed 2 of their last 3 because of COVID concerns. Here's their coach, Ryan Day.
And so, their focus is on Michigan State and winning this game. And a little shorthanded, but it'll say a lot about our program if we can rally this week after having another disappointing weekend last weekend and come on the road and go get this win.
All right, and so Heather and Paul are back with us, and Sanchez in the conversation as well. But Heather, I start with you. What do we know about Ohio State's status for players, coaches, and everybody else to try and get this game in tomorrow at Michigan State?
Well, as far as the status goes, they will be tested again around 8 p.m. this evening. Ohio State Athletic Director Gene Smith made it clear that they will not be getting on the plane unless it is a clean plane. I am told by a school spokesman that they will release their availability chart for players on Saturday before the game. Ryan Day will not be making the trip because he tested positive last week. Larry Johnson, the defensive line coach, associate head coach, will be taking over all head coaching responsibilities against Michigan State.
And so, Paula, I guess I would ask you, not only do they need to play this game, but what is at stake here? What do you need to see from them, and what do you think the committee will need to see from them?
Greeny, they need to look good in their defining game of the season against Indiana. It was a major game. They were pedestrian. Justin Fields threw a couple of interceptions, and it hurt them in the eye test realm. And that's really what we're judging Ohio State on. I mean, they don't have enough of a resume to compare to the Notre Dames and the Clemsons, Alabama, and others. So they need to be dominant. They need to look good. And most of all, they need to play the game. Without playing this game tomorrow, their path becomes very, very narrow.
And Sanchez, we haven't had you in this conversation so far this week, but Paul and I in particular have talked a lot about how the Big Ten right now has sort of put themselves into a little bit of a trick box of their own making by putting this rule out there, well, you have to play 6 games or you're not allowed to play in the conference championship. Right. Would you advise them, as Paul and I have, to be flexible about that if, for whatever reason, they can't play tomorrow or they can't play next weekend?
Well, I think it's important for the Big Ten if they want to remain on the map. I mean, they came back a little late, not quite as late as the Pac-12, but for them to be relevant and get a piece of this college football playoff, which gives them a lot of money, they got to make some concessions here and figure out how they're going to get to 6 games, whatever that looks like. If Michigan's unable to play or Ohio State goes out this weekend and lays an egg, they got to do everything they can to keep themselves relevant. So I think it serves, everybody's interest that way.
A little flexibility, I think, is the one thing that we're looking at here. And so, Heather, I would ask you quickly, as one who knows that committee so well, do you believe style points are critical for Ohio State tomorrow?
I do, and I say that because this week there was a debate as to whether or not to put Texas A&M in that number 4 spot. They are paying attention to the Aggies closely. They like their defense. They're wondering if they can get better offensively, but they point to Ohio State's win against Indiana, and they like the offensive firepower and potential they see from the Buckeyes. I think they need to see more of it.
All right, Heather, with that thought in mind, we've talked so much about Ohio State this week. What is the next thing or another thing that fans should be thinking about going into tomorrow? Heather.
Texas A&M at Auburn. This is such a key game for me that I think is flying a little bit under the radar, especially with the news that BYU's playing Coastal Carolina. And I say that because if Texas A&M loses, that's one thing out of the way for Cincinnati. Don't forget about Cincinnati sitting there undefeated at number 7. And it also helps Ohio State. As I just mentioned, the committee talked seriously about putting Texas A&M in that number 4 spot this week. So if they lose, that can help several teams.
What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, I'm looking at a game that probably will not affect the college football playoff. But Greeny, I still can't wrap my arms around the fact that Nick Saban, he's going to be on the plane today, going to Baton Rouge, and Alabama is nearly a 30-point favorite at Tiger Stadium against the defending national champion. We're talking about a historic mismatch. A defending champion hasn't had a season like this in, I don't know, beyond my lifetime, which is about 100 years.
Sanchez, how about you? Outside of Ohio State, what are you most interested to see tomorrow?
Well, I'm interested in that Texas A&M game, like Heather said. But don't forget about, our lonely Pac-12 out there. SC's got to win 2 of these games, one of them against UCLA, to get in the Pac-12 championship. I mean, Paul, come on, man. You got to use your influence. Flex a little muscle, man. Get some help from my guys out west.
The groan you heard from our studio
I didn't even realize
was
the Pac-12 had come back yet, Sanchez. I mean, thanks for letting me know.
Oh, come on.
Meanwhile,
That's terrible.
I want to start something new. I want to call it my favorite tweet of the day. And it was inspired by Heather Dinich. So Woj tweeted the numbers yesterday on Anthony Davis's new deal, $190 million. And Heather quote tweeted it by writing, $190 million, and I can't get my dishwasher to work. Heather, that was my favorite tweet of the day yesterday. Your thoughts?
It's sad but true, man. This pandemic has parts wrapped up. Look, I'm doing something wrong here. I don't know what it is. I need Jay Will to teach me how to play some hoops to get this thing fixed, apparently.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.